wonder if it's actually safe to have this thing this close to my face. Oh. I mean, obviously not if I'm gonna do that.
It just keeps getting closer to my face.
You know, actually, it's not that bad right here. I mean, I hope that I'm not blowing into it too much. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm sure it sounds a whole lot clearer than it usually does. It's probably a lot louder too. I have to turn the microphone down to get rid of the hiss. Might as well put it close to my face so that I can brush it up against my beard. That's annoying. I swear I'm never gonna find a good place to put this microphone. It's always gonna bug me, and it's always gonna be in a place that I don't want to put it. Um, I'm always gonna be paranoid. I'm blowing right into it with my nose. Let's put my glasses on. I haven't put my glasses on in a long time. Glasses. Supposed to be wearing my glasses. I never wear them. Look at how smart. Put them down so that I can look at you. You ornery kids, what are you doing? Alright. Sure, let's wear my glasses today. Help, I can't stop. I can't stop moving. I can't stop moving the microphone. Let's get the cord out of the way. I don't get that out of the way too. Oh. What if I push it up more? There, now it's completely out of there. Now it's completely out of frame. I wonder if you can still hear me. It's pretty far away, actually. Be cool if it worked right there. But I mean, I mean, I hope I can reach it to get it down again.
Come here, you son of a bitch. Get down from there.
Alright. That was a thing. Put it there. That's where it usually goes anyway. I want it to be close in my face so that you can hear me speaking, but I don't want to breathe into it. I have a problem. Let's try that there. I mean, I'm gonna smack into it with my hand, but no, my skeleton. I mean, my skull. There we go. All right, so let's try it being right there. Why not? I mean, sure. Just, just stop messing with it. Just to do something else. Just have to like clamp my hands down on the armrest so that I don't like attack it. Don't attack it with my hands. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talking Tuesday. Now, last night I was sort of not sure what I wanted to talk about, so I thought, I started brainstorming about things to talk about, and I actually sort of got myself worked up on kind of touchy subjects, and I just sort of like I went off on a whole rant and a tangent, and I had to stop myself, and I had to pull myself back and go, you know what? Hold on, you've forgotten that there are other people that exist in this world, and there are other opinions that are different from yours and other life experiences. So that got me thinking. A lot of people actually do forget about that. They demonize their opposition, or they dehumanize them in some way. They force themselves to no longer think out of people who think differently than them as human. And that, I think that's the cause of all human suffering in this world. It's like, at least that was my line of thinking last night. It's like, oh man, like, as a random example, not too long ago, I had to set up something with my bank, and I had them over the phone, and it took like 3 hours, And then when it was all over, I needed to get like this important document signed. So they're like, oh, would you like it to be faxed over or would you like it mailed? And my brain just went, but we have the internet. You have a website. Why don't you have this there? And they're like, well, we're sorry, we can't do that. We have to have either a mail or a fax. And I started getting upset with this. Not because I cared overly much, but because they're the ones who wanted this important document done. And I don't own a fax, so that would mean that we would have to wait 5 to 8 business days for it to get here, and then when I'm done with it, send it back and wait another 5 to 8 business days for this important document that they want me to sign. And I couldn't get over how dumb this was, so I had to talk to my dad about it, and he's like, well, you have to remember, son, there are different lifestyles all over America, and they have to deal with those people. And mailing and faxing means that all of the pressure is on the consumer and not on the bank. If they did it over the internet, if they did it through email, that can be hacked or edited. You or someone in Switzerland could, with a few keystrokes, completely change the document and completely ruin both you and the bank. So they can't do it over email. They can't do it on their own website because of if someone did something faulty, it would be the bank's fault. So they have to do it either by mail or by fax. Therefore, it's all on the consumer, you, to mess it up. Like if it's lost through the mail, you're going to be the one who gets your identity stolen. It's not going to be the bank who has that much of a problem with it. I mean, they'll have to deal with you, but that's the worst that they can suffer. And faxing, even though we don't own a fax, that's how a lot of people still function. It's how a lot of businesses still function. They use a fax machine. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, but that still bugs the crap out of me. But that's because it's my way of thinking, and he had to remind me that there are other people out in the world with different lifestyles and different ways of living. And it's the same with everything, really. Like, the homosexual fiasco that happened a little while ago, thank God that's over with now, finally. I was mad as hell the whole way through that. And not in the way that you would think, considering that I live in the South. I was mad that that was ever an issue to begin with. It's like, really? Marital freedom in this niche category, this one fetish of all of the categories of fetishes that could exist, that's the one that everyone has to get up in arms about. That's the one that needs to be argued about so much that it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. Some thousands of people are so bothered by this that they can't allow marital freedom to be so badly for people they don't know and don't care about. It has to go to the Supreme Court. That matters so much to some people. And it's the same thing with the transgender bathroom fiasco that's going on right now. It's like, really, this matters to so many people. Wouldn't it be so much smarter to instead analyze how our bathrooms are set up and improve how our bathrooms are built and made, and maybe have more bathrooms just in case some people can't get over it? Wouldn't it be so much easier to do that than to give that much of a crap about this stupid thing? And then going back in time, the radio thing where people had to call and make a massive deal about something they heard on a radio, wouldn't it be so much easier to change the channel? Don't you have that power to just, if you hear something on a radio you don't like, instead of making petitions and trying to get something passed, how about instead you turn that little knob? It's so much simpler and it requires so much less restriction of other people's freedom. It's something that I could never understand, and it always made me angry. These people who feel like, because I guess I'm biased at some point because I am American and I see restriction. I see freedom as being so much better than restriction in any way. I see the lack of law being a better thing than a law, because that means that we have the freedom to do as we choose, which is how it should be. That the fact that this has to be made a big deal of to begin with is dumb to me. But I once again, I have to reel myself back, and I have to remember there's millions and billions of people with millions and billions of different ways of living, different ways of being brought up, different points of view, different things that matter to them, different things that have happened to them. And yes, for thousands of people, this is probably a good use of their time somehow that I don't understand, but they obviously do. You know, I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I don't think that they're the smartest people in the world either, but they have different lifestyles to me. I'm not going to dehumanize them. I'm not going to say that people who are against gay marriage are the playthings of the devil, or like made out, or just mudmen, constructs of dirt and old ways of thinking. I'm not going to do that. They are human beings. Gay people are human beings. Non-gay people are human beings. People who live in other countries are human beings. People with different religious beliefs than me are human beings. To say anything else is ridiculous. And yet, if you go back in time through history, I believe that that's like the cause of all of the suffering that we've ever had to face. It's like we've managed. It's so much easier to dehumanize someone who doesn't think the same way as you. And it's, you know, it when someone's talking like that, it's so easy to get caught up in their hype and not remind them, wait a minute, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of other human beings that are, you know, just as alive as you. Maybe stop and think about it a little bit. Just because they have a different skin pigmentation or a different way of thinking or a different look or a different home than you does not automatically make them not human. And I think we're at the point now where it's become so comical to not do that you're starting to look really stupid. Like these older people, this older government, I think that's why these millennials are acting the way they are, and why there's like such a split in ideologies right now between the younger generation and the older generation, because the older generation is still thinking in the old way of thinking. The if you're different, then you're not human. And the new millennials are like, we have the internet, we know, we have the internet, therefore we can talk to people who live in these countries that you're saying are full of people who aren't human, and we can see that that's clearly not the case. They are human. You are being ridiculous. So I'm hoping that as time passes, the new generation doesn't fall into the same trap that human beings have fallen into for the past 4,000 or 5,000 years, wherein once you get to be a certain age and you get stuck in your way of thinking, that you forget that someone else might have a different way of thinking, and that doesn't make them not human. It makes them part of the human community, that they think differently than you do. We could not exist as a people if people thought the same way. They have to think differently. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to function the way that we do. So I hope that the new generation can remember what the older generations of the last several thousand years have so easily forgotten, that we're all human. Just because we think differently does not make us not human. Try to remember that the next time you want something radical done. Alright, so that's Talking Tuesday. It got a little bit darker and a little bit deeper and a little bit more thoughtful than I'm hoping will ever happen ever again. But for some reason, I needed to talk about it today. So, see you guys tomorrow for Warcraft Wednesday. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. If the Hearthstone, if the new Tavern Brawl is fun, I might do the Tavern Brawl. But if it, excuse me. But if it's not, I'll have to think of something else to do. And I have a few ideas, but they might take a little bit more time than I can do in one day. So what I might have to do is I might just have to play Hearthstone anyway, and then prepare for something more entertaining next week's for next week's Warcraft Wednesday. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.